I need someone. When I was younger, so
Thanks for coming out tonight. It's great to have you all here. I have a little announcement to make. I recently retired. Now, this is my second shot at doing this, but I think I'm going to be able to pull it off. After I retired, I moved from Haida Gwaii to White Rock. I had been up on those northern islands for over 35 years. So a little bit about them. Everything that you need to get on that island comes by ferry or by air. And that's everything. That's people, groceries, cars, men. Now we all get, thanks. We all get used to the ferry being late because weather is an issue. The ferry has to go across some of the wildest waters on the north coast. It's called the Hecate Straits, but every once in a while we call it the Fuck-It Straits. Yeah. The tourists, it's kind of fun to watch them because when the ferry's late, they get a little worried because they go in the grocery store and the shelves are a little bit bare. We're not worried. The ferry's late. Yeah. And then there is a little bit to know about driving up north. On Haida Gwaii, there's one paved road, no intersections really, and there's one street light. And the traffic mainly happens twice a week when the ferry comes in. Now, there are a couple of things you need to know about driving up there to watch out for. Deer and falling asleep. Now, I know we don't have to worry about that down here because here we have to worry about pedestrians and falling asleep. Yeah. So when I used to come down to visit, when I came down south, I did notice things were changing here. Rush hour. When I lived here before, rush hour was a couple of hours a day, 5 days a week. And then I seemed to notice that it was turning into 24 hours a day, at least 30 days a week. It got so busy that when I had to come down, I phoned every friend and family member I had and begged them, please pick me up at the airport, because I just wasn't comfortable with it being me that was getting behind the steering wheel. But I'm here to stay now, and I love to live by the water, so I rented a condo right across from the White Rock Pier. It's just beautiful. But everything is uphill. Really, it's a cliff. And it only took me a couple of times of walking up that cliff to realize that driving was my best option. So I needed to update my driving skills. So I read a few books, not while I was driving. And I did take a course for seniors driving, and the guy that was giving that course was even older than I was. But I don't think that was the right course for me. I think I needed more than just a few tips. For instance, they didn't talk about merging onto the freeway. So I hired a professional driving instructor. He was at least 16 years younger than that senior driver instructor. And he told me that slowing down was not the way to merge. Yeah. So I bravely stepped on the gas and merged. And it was terrifying. And then there's parking. Now, you wouldn't think parking would be such a big problem. But for me, it was. What I found was that, I got to admit that I am one of the few people that has free parking in White Rock by the beach. The parking, we just call it the dungeon. And when you get across the moat, you'll find some really narrow parking stalls flanked by huge cement pillars. Now, I say it takes 30 times of going back and forth before you can actually pull in to park. Parking was a lot easier up north. Up there, I just had to gun my car and roar up my steep, bumpy driveway and turn to the right, and I was home. Yeah. Some of my passengers did get a little scared, but their screams didn't bother me nearly as much as hearing my car scrape against the cement posts. So, roundabouts. When did they start doing roundabouts? My first experience in a roundabout was late one night. I was with my friend, Google Maps, who suddenly declared, "Take the third exit." I'm going, "What?" Oh, I did catch on. Apparently, you can go around and around the roundabout for as long as necessary, and then you can find your way out, right? So if you ever see a red Ford Escape with scratch marks all along it, going around and around a roundabout, it's probably me. And bridges. There are so many bridges. I had to go to Google Earth to learn how to navigate them. With that, I could zoom way down and find the different lanes and then figure out which lane I needed to be in to get to where I needed to go, okay? So for all those drivers that are out there tonight in the house, tomorrow I'll be on the third lane of the Golden Gate Bridge, so watch out for me, please. After I'm over the bridge, it's really easy because all the rest of the trip are right-hand turns. Now, you may wonder why I take all this trouble, and it seems like a lot of trouble to plan this out, but I don't mind the trouble because at all costs, I must never find my way on an unexpected trip to downtown Vancouver. No. And I have changed a few habits since I've been living here. Now when I gas my car up, I fill my tank to the brim, no matter where I'm going. It just happens to be my get home if I get lost strategy. And now that I live here full time, I often have out-of-town visitors. And even with all the work I've put into my driving, it's still my policy. I do not drive visitors to the airport. Instead, I walk them across the street to the bus stop. I advise them which bus to board. I advise them to stay on that bus until they get to the SkyTrain, exit the bus, and go up the escalator, follow the signs, and voila, you're at the airport. Good luck and good travels. Thank you.
Much younger than